about class. You just don't want them to protest. Again, fine. This person's entitled to their point of view. But I consider it little victories when those people don't go unopposed in their thinking.
Yeah, no, look, that's one of the challenges the Democrats have is that you've got all these splinter groups that actually, most of them actually are not part of the Democratic Party. They're to the left of the Democratic Party, and they have their specific interests, and they're not thinking in terms of the broad picture. And it creates confusion. So that does make sense.
Well, I don't know about that. I think I might push back.
Tell me. Challenge me.
I might push back on that take a little bit because I think somebody said that about Martin Luther King. So I think there is something about a minority opinion having to juxtapose against when they're outnumbered. Just because you're outnumbered doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean that your idea is irrelevant, right, and that you shouldn't just subsume kind of what you want to what the masses want, even if the masses are the Democratic Party. So I just had to push back on that a little bit. Like, it's not like we don't get points for being in lockstep if lockstep isn't what needs to happen, right? So I just kind of want to make a case for the small splinter group.
Yeah, no. First of all, I am totally open to that. I am not perfect, and actually, I could easily, change my mind as well. But the point I was trying to make was that even when you talk about the DSA, the Democratic Socialists, the majority of them have never been Democrats. They have never been part of that Democratic Party. And I'm just making the distinction of the Democratic Party versus the left, which is, those are two separate things. And we just need to be cognizant of that. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one of the things that is really tricky about our current reality is that we kind of nobilize homogeneity because homogeneity wins, right? Like this idea of, and I don't have an answer. I'm not saying like, we need to do X or we need to do Y, Z, but the reality is that when you contrast the Democratic Party with the Republican Party, right? Like it's one group does represent more diverse groups. That is the reality of it. And so like I think we use a lot of language of like, we need to be more like the right. We need to be more organized. We need to have more consistency. That's not historical, right? In terms of what changes things, what moves the needle forward, moves the ball forward. Let me find a terrible metaphor. It's more complex than that. Yes, you might win because you have the numbers, right? And because you're able to corral the numbers. But when I look at my gerrymandered state of Texas, I don't feel like that's winning. I feel like they compromised democracy in order to put forth one small group's like vision of the world. That doesn't mean that groups that are smaller.
Posted it up. I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. Let's just go with it. So I launched it. People accusing me of rugging it. I didn't own a single cent in it. No supply. It was like before I could even post the CA, a bunch of people found it because I guess they were looking for this coin. It hadn't launched yet. No one else had launched one. It went up to I think 200K, and then it went down, and so it's just sitting there. The supply is really cheap right now. I think the market cap is at 10K, but it's got a really deep liquidity pool because it got it graduated to Meteora, which is amazing. It's better than any pump fund coin. Pump fund coins have very limited liquidity, so if you're trading in high volume, you're fucked, right? I've done this so many times, or like twice, where I would have so much of the supply and I try to sell it because I bought it high and I'd spend like $4,000 one night and sold it at a loss despite being up in profit. The liquidity basically fucked me, right? Because of the curve, right? There's the bonding curve, and if there's not enough liquidity, you're fucked, right? If you try to sell, it's just not going to work out for you, and that has hit me. Now that won't happen on this coin, right? Because the LP is super high. It's I think 100K, and so it's I think it graduated at that much anyway. So the LP is pretty high, and it's ready for CTO, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna relaunch it. Yeah.
Well, Ian, just to give you the updated numbers, the liquidity is sitting at 21K, and the market cap is at 11K.
That's pretty good.
That's a ratio of freaking a lot, 200% versus your average market cap. 10K market cap token would only have around $2,000 worth of liquidity. So that's about a 10x average, when you would normally want to be at the beginning stages of a token, because this is the beginning as it was completely zeroed out.
Correct, yeah. I own $3 in it right now. So I just want to launch it.
These, right? And that's the benefit to the devs. Devs don't have to be rogues and have a bunch of supply and then just G no matter what.
I'm not interested in cheating this at all. Yeah, like I get enough from the trading, the volume, right? The fees, because Launchcoin has a pretty lucrative. Like they give you 50% of the fees compared to like Pump Fund, which I think keeps most of it. I've launched, like coins and Pump Fund, just for fun. Again, never really pushed it. One went to like I think $1 million. I got like nothing out of it. I got like fucking 1%, some bullshit. It's garbage. So. Not interested in rugging this. I own no supply. So I just want to help boost it, and I like the value that it espouses. No gods, no kings. I think that's the world we're going to live in. Let's do it. Let's pump this, because the whole idea of a god and a king nowadays is not really literally a king or a god. It's going to be bureaucracy, right? So we want to end bureaucracy, and I think this is a pretty good message. It's pretty solid. It's got a great foundation here. So let's.
That's pretty dope. It'll have your never-ending support as long as there ends up being a community built behind it. So that's kind of where we've always focused on, is that type of opportunity is something, right, that is a KOL-like deal with someone like yourself would normally cost X, right? So like now the community has that as an absolute standard. So that's where I suggested see someone that's been around our circle for quite a while now and is connected to many of our friends. So, I was like, young dude, he's got time in Web3, see what communities, they can build and curate. And same thing, we're going to be that extending arm from the crypto side of things. So always help him, as he's building. And he has that influencer side from your neck of the woods pushing and willing to help as well. So I pinned the community up at the top if you're interested.
What makes it a godless, a coin though?
Well, it's that it doesn't have. We don't believe in bureaucracy. That's why the god is dead, right? And humans run everything. And just like CTO, I think it's a perfect narrative.
But philosophically.
Yeah, philosophically, that's what it is. Yeah. It's a libertarian coin at its heart. It's an Andrew Ryan quote from BioShock, and the guy is a libertarian. He built a city under the ocean. I think that's how Elon sees himself.
So when you look at the U.S. dollar, do you think it's godless or full of God? It says, "In God we trust."
God, yeah, in God we trust, right? In God we trust. And what is the God there? Right? That's a question, right? That's I'm not super.
Well, it says trust God. I'm just saying, if a currency isn't based off of God, it's not going to stand its test. It's essentially a worthless currency.
Gold is pretty godless. Gold is the purest form of currency.
No, you could say God is. You could say gold is pure God because it's pure.
Well, this is pure capitalism. How about that? God as a concept is dead.
So what do you think about MBS in Saudi Arabia? That kingdom isn't going to fall. All these Arab monarchs, they exchange dollars and everything. They're godless.
You mean they're full of God or godless?
I'm being a hypocrite, but I don't like monarchies. I'm an American. I don't think there should be kings and queens. That is the bureaucracy. But in America, we have this Democrat industrial complex bureaucracy.
They're God right now. You look at the left, they're God, right? They're playing God with your children, with transgenderism, with all this gender studies nonsense. They are playing God, literally telling us, to go against our biological instincts. There's only a man and a woman, and they're saying, oh no, we have decided that we are playing God now. I think people shouldn't be doing that. So,
it's true.
I think it's a rejection. So this coin stands as a rejection of that, a rejection of their God. god is leftism. Wokeness.
Well, then my Republican bank wants to invest $1 million into this incredible new currency, which stands against the leftards and the liberal psychopaths in our society.
Base as fuck. Yeah, it's base as fuck. And it's all about the pure market. I think that is the purest form of capitalism, the pure market, the free market. And that's what this is. Yeah, God is dead it's literally a free market statement.
Well, also, and this is really backed by whatever community gets built. I pinned the community at the top. There are 3 members right now, actually, because I just joined it. 4 members now, good stuff. But C is your CTO leader. He is putting together a hit squad of community managers and members that are going to, be part of a movement. Any movement is real if there's people that show up. And it's really hard to imagine that this country is still based in God. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ, not a denomination. And this country couldn't be any further away from God. The way I see it, if we can go back to its truest and its most natural form of true love, that we all really want what's best for everyone and not just certain people, well, we can really create our own world, and you can do that in any token. That's what crypto really does. People band together because of crypto. Ian and I have became friends. We wouldn't have met outside of that, but here we are, right? So that same type of value that is truly backed by the most valuable asset in the world, the human soul, cannot be replaced, cannot be scientifically created. Sadly, you can buy a lot of human souls, right? Because most people will sell their soul for peanuts. We do it for people that are really part of the same movement. So join the movement. If you want to build something special, it really just becomes how many more members can join and be part of the same mission.
Yep. And if anyone's wondering, what am I going to do with the money that I get from the fees, right? Well, I want to keep building up the community. I want to give back to it, and also I want to build a gaming channel on X, so this helps. I think we need that. We need proper journalism, and I want to bring it.
And 12K market cap. 12K market cap. If you ever said you had a shot at something early, oh my goodness, if you're going to complain at this point, now go work for your frickin' stupid bags. If all y'all do it, just like Rocktimus did, you're going to hold strong. We built a strong-ass community with Rocktimus. Check us out as well. And shout out to Ian being part of that movement as well. So I will tell you, when Ian is telling you wholeheartedly, he will help you. He means it. He will be there for the community. I can stamp on that. Like I told Ian, I don't give a damn about people launching tokens, doing this, doing that. That's what everybody's doing. Our president launched the rug. You know what I'm saying? Where he don't show his token. That's the definition of a rug. Launch the token, does nothing for it. Okay. Ian's already doing 10x that because that MF at least shows up. So I will say, as the Groctimus CTO leader, Ian, I super thank you. Just for that, being what you said you would, which is, I'll be part of the movement. So thank you.
Wow. Fantastic stuff. Listen, chaps, I want to just really say very briefly, it has been really a tremendous pleasure to participate in this conversation. Prior to this, I was in a group with Lord Miles. For those of you who know, another great person. This is part of what our dear friend Elon Musk, my fellow countryman, has enabled us to do is to engage with people from very vastly disparate social positions. I mean, this is really quite wonderful and a great pleasure to talk to chaps like you, the two of you. And this is my greeting. I say thank you.
Education, universal healthcare, which means that there is less stress of those things. And
there's a commonality for sure. And I know Steve Crone was doing his Google and mentioned that according to Google, the Nordic countries are Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden.
Yeah,
so Scandinavia, that's the more general. So Nordic is the operative term, and that also what happened with our dinner was we didn't realize this, but Sweden had already closed their embassy, or they're in the process of closing the embassy here in Burkina Faso. And now Denmark is the same. So he's going to be, for now, the last ambassador to Burkina Faso. They're going to leave. Well, what they're doing is the Nordic countries have made a decision to work cooperatively together. So what's happening is he's moving to Senegal, which is a more important position, and so Sweden is there, but so all 5 of the countries are there, and they're sharing resources, and they're also expanding their influence, and they will be able to cover Burkina Faso, but they're doing it from Senegal.
Yes, that's because the economy is tight and we have to invest 10% of GDP to military defense, and it's going to be huge investment for all of each countries, and therefore I suppose those things. But that sounds good that you spend with Nordic people your dinner time. I'm happy with it.
It's like our best friends were and we love it. Well, this is actually but we love the Dutch woman as well. She's great. No, we've had such a great time here. You know, we've been here almost 5 years. It'll be we're leaving here in September, but it's sort of sad because we're sort of closing up shop, and everybody, and we're not the only ones leaving. There are about 2 or 3 other of our friends that are leaving at the same time. So it's sort of bittersweet, and it's
What are your plans afterwards, if I can ask?
Alan got a new position at the Brazilian mission in New York City, where she is she's basically the chief of staff for the deputy foreign minister.
Oh, that sounds great. New York.
Yeah, it's an interesting position because it's different than what she's used to doing is running a consulate. But now she's essentially going to be in charge of all 190 embassies and consulates all over the world. She's the operational and logistical head of all of that.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
Be so proud of her. Smoking your cigar on the top of the roof in New York instead of the pool where you are at the moment. It's gonna be, you're gonna enjoy. It's a different life, but there's a lot of culture, a lot of movements, and also politics. And Andrea is there. You can meet Andrea.
Oh yeah, I'm very aware of Andrea and Scotty, my good friends in New York City.
Scotty, yes.
Helping get settled, helping us. No, it's interesting because first of all, you would think that we would be in Brasilia, but the fact is the Brazilian government actually transacts everything in U.S. dollars, and because her position is logistics, she needs to be near the banks in the United States. So that's the reason why the position is based in New York City. And look, we don't have our staff of 7 full-time people, and we lost.
You can do your own breakfast.
I'm gonna have to clean the kitty litter myself.
Yes.
So that's the downside.
That's good for you. Good for you.
Yes, it's pretty good, and I may have to do some cooking. But it's true. At first, it was I did not want to come back to the United States, run under Donald Trump. I had told her originally, I said, "There's no way I'm going to want to go back to the United States." But since she was offered this position in the way that it was offered, and also, frankly, they gave her a large amount of money to look for apartments. So we're going to get, it's like being able to live in New York and not worry, about where you're going to live.
Exactly. And the real activist has to be there where the happening is going on, not outside of own country. So you do the best when you are in USA. You can influence much more there than outside. It's going to be fantastic, I'm sure.
And we will have an extra guest bedroom for anybody who wants to visit us in New York.
Perfect. Because if I don't know. I have to clean my social media accounts first. Joking. Before coming to USA, because otherwise they can just.
Well, it is a concern. And I have to.
It is. I mean, even Clubhouse, we don't know who is listening this. I mean, I'm normally not paranoid at all, but I just have some researchers. I think a couple of researchers are not getting visa to USA because they research word DIA or feminism or activism and such, so they are cancelled. They visas are cancelled in top universities, and this is extremely worrying everybody.
It's true.
Using activist word of feminism, not even together, but one.
Yeah. I totally understand. You're absolutely. Thank you, Tina. It's so good to see you.
Yes. Hey, next week my dogs are going to holiday together. 3 of them. They have a holiday here.
And Stalin killing people and sending them to Siberia and literally having a genocide within his own people, right? That he is a better option and we should back him and give him everything so that they can industrialize.
Katrina, I hate to break it to you, but on D-Day from the United States, they knew how many casualties was going to happen. War is a meat grinder. Let's just stop using that type of word.
No,
secondly, Russia, before we even entered the war, Russia was fighting Hitler in Germany. They had a major defeat. They had a major famous defeat in the region around Ukraine, which is Soviet Union at the time.
Okay,
there was about over 20 million deaths from Russia. We came in at the end. Ma'am, listen.
We did not come in at the end. What happened?
The final push.
Really well. Please don't spread.
Okay, but
Russian propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
Not Russian propaganda. This is American history.
Man, you so triggered.
No, it's
Katrina,
not.
both my grandfathers was actually there, boots on the ground. Like, I'm not just saying what I'm saying. Look it up. Who did the final push into the Russian city? Who did the final push into the final city?
What happened?
Look that.
Fine, I will look that up. I'm not
okay, we just want to have a
What happened on
okay,
September 1st? First of all, what happened September 1st, 1939, and then September 2nd, 1939.
It's unrefutable.
They invaded Poland, ma'am. We know they invaded Poland on September 1st. But we don't need to. We're not talking about World War II.
And I get that. Poland?
Germany did. Germany did. Well, both Germany and Russia did actually. But and they split it up. They split it up. And we get that. But we don't. We're not here to debate World War II.
And I had a military parade in Poland.
Katrina, I sympathize with you and Ukrainians, Slava Ukrainian. I got plenty of Ukrainian friends.
To do with Ukraine, I'm talking about a twisted history that you Americans think about Russia. The Soviet
but you got to read beyond what you got to keep educating yourself. Just because you read in one book, keep reading more about this issue.
I read it in a lot of European books. Believe it or not.
Okay, maybe you're just biased and have an angle. I don't know. I think that's
what do you mean biased? Hold on. You look at the numbers of how many own civilian people Stalin killed. Do you know it is more than World War II put together? Own people.
Ma'am, you stated that the reason why Russians have a higher death count because they just threw themselves at the stake, and this is a meat grinder. That's an idiotic type of viewpoint. If that's an idiotic viewpoint,
what's the about it?
Yeah, because how are you supposed to defeat an enemy at that time? We didn't have these type of weapons that we have now, drones. We had to put boots on the ground, and we had to fight.
Okay, you don't know the history, Nathan, because if you actually go and look what U.S. soldiers were actually dealing with on islands of Japan in World War II, you will see that Japan was using exactly the same method. It was cannon fodder. Germans themselves, Nazis themselves were saying that Russians were just keep coming, and they were running out of, literally running out of ammo.
It's actually a German blitzkrieg tactic to force. It's a blitzkrieg. That's actually a German type of war tactic, which was highly effective to use bodies.
Makes sense.
That's not what blitzkrieg is, though.
Again, like this is. Never mind.
The same thing was happening.
Nathan, listen. The United States has
Just stick with never mind.
made a mistake.
Hey, Katrina, the same thing is happening now in Russia and Ukraine. So you're right. There's 5 times more Russians dead. What do you call that if not a meat grinder?
What is going on? Can we come to the Israel and Iran? Because I wasn't, like my student told me one time, I wasn't born in 1939. So I can we move forward? Thank you. Because this is
if you're not going to direct the traffic, how you?
Yeah, I'm trying, First Lady, to get it back to. I said to Israel and Iran.
Right, but
Yeah.
you gonna lead the conversation?
I'm sorry.
I said, are you leading the
Oh
conversation?
no, I'm not. I'm sorry I interrupted. Continue. Y'all stopped in 1941, so you can pick up.
No, but they bring it up. That's why I said I don't know why they keep bringing it up.
That
The
is
1940s and all this extra stuff.
Can I mention
Moms
something?
that was coming up want to keep bringing it up too when they ain't got nothing to do with stuff.
I think I have a different perspective than what I heard so far.